Okay, now I'm going to just set this up. So, my world kind of turned upside down when my parents got divorced, and my mom threw my dad out, and we kind of switched places where she kind of became the teenager, and I became the parent. And she had never really experienced a teenagehood and got into, weed and dating, and I got into punk, but I also stopped going to school, and I really, there's always eating disorders in my family, and it was the idea if only I could be thin. And I was already, by this point, I'd already dropped out of my last grade of completion was 6th grade. I'd already dropped out of 2 schools, and we saw a therapist, and the therapist, the only hope is like to go to a psychiatric hospital, an adolescent unit. My mom had told me there was this movie called Lisa and David where these 2 kids meet in a mental institution. It was a movie. They fall in love. They get better. And I thought, you know what? That's what I want to go to a mental institution because I know I will lose weight. I will meet a boy. My life will be perfect. I will go back to school. I will be popular. My life, I will be Brooke Shields. I didn't know how bad she had it. So I still would have traded. Anyway, even though like Mike Douglas was a total creep to her, like if you watch that documentary, it's like unbelievable. Anyway, so I'm going to read this to you. This is called Sweet November. November was always my month. The entire month has always felt like I'm in home court. We did little celebrations all month with friends and family as they were available. The brisk air would force the maple and elm trees to release to full nakedness, and the sidewalks would flutter with fiery red mounds drawn to my feet as if the streets were burning me forward. My Scorpio horoscope and TV guide is very supportive in my sponsored month, mostly predicting smooth sailing despite Scorp's intensity. But it is also my mother's month. Her birthday is Veterans Day, when we mourn war and those lost in battle, honoring fallen warriors. She is also a Scorpio, so it wasn't only my month. But my day, the 2nd, I'd recently found out, besides from occasionally being election day, was the Day of the Dead. I was born when the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest. As we leave the hospital, she says, "For once, I'm going to celebrate my birthday. So like I said, I will not tolerate any more of your crap." Or we stand in the street as she unzips out a cigarette, my suitcase next to my feet. She motions to the gray stone building behind me. "You go right fucking back." She plunges herself out into the gutter to hail a cab. I've not showered in 5 days. I was there, in the 5 days I was there. The baby powder I poured on my scalp to absorb oil has given my head a greasy furred coat like a diner's exhaust hood. My face is broken out, my skin crusty. People glance as they pass. They all know. I am different now. I am a mental patient. They are not. There is a clear divide. No washing this off. As my mom makes it clear, it's still waiting for my return. "What about our fucking agreement? You knew this place was shit. This is not what you promised," I imagine screaming. But she is clasped tight. There is no crevice to maneuver within. No telling her about the orderlies, what can happen with them in the shower, where one of them had to watch you while you showered. What can happen if you were tied down in a quiet room. No telling her how I got no therapy, saw a doctor only once for maybe 15 minutes tops. Thank you. My mom and I sat in a steamed, overheated room as doctors I'd never met thumbed my chart, reporting how I'd attended their school, completed all the ridiculous worksheets. I was responsive to staff. I'd socialized. I made my bed. I was carefully following all the tips Barbara, another patient, had fed me so as not to get transferred to their long-term unit, a dangling possibility. She counseled, "Chat with the nurses because you won't see a doctor. The nurses make the reports." Hygiene was the only issues the doctors raised. Patient refused to shower. "I feel very shy about being watched as I shower," I explained to the doctors. As Barbara has also advised, I did not say I do not feel safe being watched by men in the shower. To them, I made an all-out covenant about how I cannot wait to go back to school. I am really not suicidal. Yes, I had said I was in the past, but it was a way to get attention. I really want to get back to school and all my friends. When they returned with their verdict, I should go home and return to school. My mother bit her lip. I kept myself from screaming, "Praise the Lord," and weeping at their feet in gratitude. There was no use pointing out that they had no fucking adolescent unit, or that my roommate was 32 and had attempted to murder her outside world roommate because voices. So when that meds bell rang, I made sure Christine was online. Only medicine silenced her voices, or that I saw patients suddenly mount each other, fingernails digging in for perch, blood spraying like a water pistol fight. And worst of all, the reasons they gave for their attacks started to make sense. I heard what you thought about me. I know what color you want to dump on my head. I smell what you want that ASPCA mutt to do with me. At every meds bell, even without my roommate, I joined the line, even though they had not given me any after the first day when my mom revealed she was leaving me there. I ran, but the orderly surrounded me and I was forced to take Thorazine. It made her leaving easy for me. And I continued to beg for more of that med. They never had any for me. It was too late. When I realized my grave mistake, I had answered wrong to the magic intake question, what could have scored me a Dixie cup of numbness. Do you hear voices? I think so. What do those voices tell you to do? To do? Make phone calls? I don't know, eat ice cream? Does a voice ever order you to hurt someone or yourself? Well, eating ice cream hurts because I gain weight, and that's not the goal. I can't fit into any of my clothes my mom bought me after Weight Watchers camp, so that hurts my family because then I don't want to go to school or even leave the house if I can only fit into those clothes again. And it's the same with making phone calls. I mean, not just the phone bill, but that's not the type of voice we're talking about. Oh. I grinned the same dumb grin as the doctor, his pen double-clicked. No more questions and no more meds. But maybe if I had told him that I could feel the voices they took away from their patients, then they would have given me the meds, which maybe would take away my voices that were somehow different. I could sense all the dislodged voices waiting as if behind a barricade, watching for a mistake, hoping they could come bursting through to reassert themselves. Perhaps this time the white Dixie cup will be empty. I heard the disembodied whispering. Maybe the nurse would not check this time to see if the medicine was hidden under her tongue, and they could seep from the ceilings, the crevices, wherever they hovered, and move in with their betrothed. Maybe, if I'd explained my voices are boys, and they don't tell me things to do, they only want to tell the things done to them. Maybe if I had told the staff that these boys are waiting for their chance to be heard again, I'd never have gotten out of there. I guess I don't hear voices, I offer, but my mom is aggressively flagging taxis in her pantsuit under a winter coat, which she hadn't needed before I went in. The brown leaves mixed with trash, gusts of raw wind slice through the light jacket I have on. We climb into the taxi. She sits on her side, smoking. I want to tell her, you put me here 2 days after my birthday. But that means nothing. I definitely know my getting an entire month is over. I am 14. Maybe this was my bat mitzvah, my becoming a woman. I stare at the streets glazing by as we head toward the Brooklyn Bridge. Everything is not me now, not welcoming to explore. Everything appears compressed into shapes that don't fit their puzzle piece slots. When my mom was 14, she took care of her 2 younger sisters. She never even got much of a birthday. November was never hers. But still, she went to college and graduated when she was 17. I know I am a brat. I want to tell her, I want to apologize, I know how hard it's been. I've made it shit. I inch my hand closer to her thigh as the vibration of the bridge grinds. She whips her head. I will take you back right now. I pull my hand away. No more emotional blackmail or manipulation. No more games. Monday you will go to school on time. I will call. If you're not fucking there, an ambulance will drag you need be right fucking back to St. Vincent's, and it will be a long time before you leave. There is nothing to say. Crying is ridiculous. I stare at the brackish water and mock myself for thinking about all the people who jumped off the bridge. Drama queen. Would it hurt? So what if it does? It'd be over. She'd be sorry. Oh, you are not going to do that, dumbass. She checks that her bag is zippered shut, and I notice a beachhead of red dye along the edges of her hairline. I hated being recruited to pluck out her white hairs, but suddenly there was an avalanche, too many to remove, which she didn't want the doctors to see. As if sensing me staring, she turns. I hope you never know what it's like to live with the threat, with the terror you're going to come home to a hanging body. She wipes her eyes and flicks her ash out the window. And you always threaten never to come back when you go away. And maybe you can stop letting all these weirdo men live with us. You don't listen to what happens. But I say none of that. I only vaguely nod and bite my lip. I focus on what she doesn't know. I ate one meal in the hospital, and that's it. No one noticed. I am doing photosynthesis. The ache of hunger transformed into power under my control. Nothing will make me eat ever again. The weight is melting off. I bet by Monday I will be able to zip my jeans again. I want to go to school. I'm going to see Jules, I say with empty bravado I used on the doctors. She blows out a swale of smoke as she loudly directs the driver to take the left-hand fork off the bridge. Athena jumps all over me, her tail whirls, but she can smell my difference, the filth. She whines and snorts, gently licking my fingers. Jojo comes out, clutching two of my dolls. I thought you said they weren't letting her out of the loony bin. Shut up, my mom says as she hangs up her coat. Jo glares at me. You look gross. You want to order in from the Cad Plaz? She spins to Jo. You say one more fucking word. My mom goes into the kitchen and grabs a can of dog food for Athena. At the sound of the electric can opener, Athena is at my mother's feet. What do you want? She yells. Eggplant parmesan with spaghetti and rice pudding and a Diet Coke, Jo screams. You? I step into the kitchen as she mashes the food into Athena's red plastic bowl and adds some water to create gravy. The same, I mutter. And there it is. I listen to her place the order, adding sides of coleslaw drained in place of salad. What I wait for is when I will shout, just kidding, nothing for me, I'm getting skinny, and guess what? I haven't eaten in 4 days, I'm done with food forever. But no words like that come out. She places the money on the counter. I'm going to take a shower, she says. There's the tip. A voice that could be from a science show drolly observes, haha, it was forgotten to remind them to leave out the buttery bread rolls with their foil packets of butter. Those must be rescued, hidden immediately from the delivery parcel before she uncovers this contraband threat. How is a loony bin? Jo asks. I ignore Jo and go out on the terrace. The rail judders under my grasp. I wonder if my hands will freeze to it. The day the dead can easily communicate is past. The watchtower is flashing its digital time and rotating to the temperature, but it's all a blur. You are crying, a surgical voice narrates. So now I hear voices too. And it's not a Day of the Dead guide. It's a very angry Scorpio's unemotional taunt. The fat piggy is fucking crying, and she has to go back to school on Monday. And that is it, and thank you so much.